that because you're an essential worker means that you can just be out there riding around willy-nilly. You have to be coming from work or going to work.
We need to know when there's infection and when those contacts have been in churches.
We just want to do what is advised by public health officials.
Cases surpass 1,000. Good morning, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis, and this is the Morning Edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. The local confirmed COVID-19 cases nationwide, standing at 1,036. New Providence has a total of 495, and Grand Bahama 438. Wednesday also saw 47 new cases, with 5 additional patients in Cat Island, bringing the total in that island to 8. Both Abaco and Exuma recorded new cases. There were no confirmed cases reported out of Grand Bahama on Wednesday. The Morning Edition has also learned that a number of church leaders have been infected with COVID-19. Some of them contracted the virus prior to the current surge in cases and before the lockdowns took effect, but none of them have died. President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Bishop Delton Fernandez, is hoping key information is made available to the council to avoid further spread in the church.
Know when there's infection and when those contacts have been in churches, and we need to know it before shutdown. We need to know when we need to increase the standards that we're doing, and we need to as a way of the council, to disseminate that information. There's a cluster here, there's an uptick here. You need to be careful here. 15 people have been affected here, or 20 have been affected in a local congregation. Devoid of that information, people can let their guard down, but if we are to solve this problem, we must solve it together.
Bishop Fernandez says despite the fear of contracting the virus, clergymen have a job to do, and that is to provide spiritual counseling at homes and conduct visitations in hospitals for the sick. He believes, though, like frontline workers, clergymen are also the front line of this pandemic.
If you think about what we do other than just preach, visitation to the dying, and then that death notice. We are the people with a family that are in a hospital, that are in a morgue, that are in a graveyard, that are in your personal vicinity. While you're crying, while you're wailing, while you're going through, while you're hollering, we are there. And we don't have any PPP, we don't have any special, what we got is a mass and faith. But we thank God that He keeps us.
COVID-19 also impacting the corporate office operations of the Public Hospitals Authority. The office is closed for deep cleaning and sanitizing after a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. The PHA implemented its COVID-19 response yesterday after the result was reported. The Ministry of Health has also initiated assessment and contact tracing. Operations at the PHA's corporate office are expected to resume on Monday, August 17th. Also, North and Central Abaco Administrator Therese Boudot-Lang confirming that 10 staff members have been placed in quarantine. This, she says, after the employees were exposed to COVID-19 earlier this week.
We had a situation where a temporary worker who served as a substitute worker for just under 2 weeks has been confirmed by the relevant authority, which is public health, to be COVID positive. And so with that, their contact tracing, they were able to establish that the employee worked in our office during the substitute period and would have had contact with my staff and myself.
So that means you would be in quarantine as well?
Yes, we are being monitored. The contact was not extensive, but nonetheless, out of an abundance of caution, they've asked us to allow them to monitor us to see where we are, given that the individual is COVID positive.
Boudot-Lang says this latest development is having an impact on operations at the administrative office in North and Central Abaco.
It definitely has hampered operation. We're working remotely and we're able to do quite a bit remotely, electronically, but there are still nonetheless some processes that are manual and some of the processes that we do engage in impact other departments, and they need us to facilitate some of their operations. And so, but we understand that we need to be careful, and that if we were in any form exposed, we don't want to be of any risk to the general public, because we still serve the general public, and then the employees themselves have families, and so we just want to do what is advised by public health officials.
COVID-19 cases in the country are well into the triple digits, and the fear of the health services being overwhelmed remains. Country representative for the Pan American Health Organization, Dr. Esther de Gorville, reiterating why lockdowns are crucial to slowing down the spread.
We have very limited choices for this virus. If we interrupt transmission totally, which would be a situation in which the lockdown leads to no new cases being reported through the surveillance system, and with the understanding that ill persons and exposed persons have come forward for testing, then we resume our normal life.
Says while there is some movement on developing a vaccine, it will take some time.
So over 200 vaccines under development. And let us be realistic about the vaccines. Even with other vaccines for other infectious diseases, just because you attempt to develop one doesn't mean it would be successful. And research suggests that only 10% of candidate vaccines actually end up being effective enough to be offered to the population.
And still to come, COVID-19 forcing the University of the Bahamas to make adjustments ahead of the new fall semester. That and more when the morning edition comes right back.
Hi, welcome to Dream Girls. We offer a wide variety of hair care, and your everyday beauty needs.
Here at Dream Girls, we carry a wide variety of products for natural or relaxed hair, such as ORS, Hero Care, and Shea Moisture. We also carry a large selection of weaving, braiding, and crochet hair. You can expect to find a private wig room, a large variety of products, and service with a smile. Whether you're shopping for a party, a corporate event, or your everyday working woman, Dream Girls can make your dream become a reality. Live your dream, experience your dream, Dream Girls.
We have 3 convenient locations to serve you: Village Road Shopping Center, Prince Charles Shopping Center, and Legacy Plaza located on Prince Charles next to BTC Cash and Go. Here at Dream Girls, enhancing beauty becomes your reality.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pinder. During this global pandemic, we ask for you to be responsible. As we fight the COVID-19 virus together, we would like to encourage you to do the following. Wash your hands. Cover your mouth and nose with a flex elbow or tissue when coughing and sneezing. Practice social distancing by staying 6 feet apart. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, and if you must go out, wear a mask. We stay here for you. Please stay home for us. To those of you on the front line, we salute you as we continue this fight together.
This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health in conjunction with GD Media Solutions and this television station.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ferguson. During this global pandemic, we ask for you to be responsible. As we fight this COVID-19 virus together, we would like to encourage you to do the following. Wash your hands. Cover your mouth and nose with a flexed elbow or tissue when coughing and sneezing. Please practice social distancing by staying 6 feet apart. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. If you must go out, wear a mask. We stay here for you. Please stay home for us. To those who are on the front line, we salute you as we continue this fight together.
This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health in conjunction with GD Media Solutions and this television station.
Welcome back to the Morning Edition. Bahamian students pursuing studies in the United States are being encouraged by Ambassador, His Excellency Sidney Colley, to register with the nearest Bahamian embassy or consulate to their respective colleges and universities. The Ambassador is also urging the students to pay attention to state COVID-19 protocols. He also emphasized that not registering makes it challenging for foreign missions to truly account for Bahamian students in their geographic area. And to find a Bahamian office near them, students need only log on to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs' website. And still on education news, the University of the Bahamas' fall 2020 semester is set to begin on August 24th with an uptick in student enrollment. However, due to COVID-19 restrictions, many adjustments were made in preparation for the new academic year. Here's Crystal Darling.
For the first time in history, the University of the Bahamas will be kicking off a new semester fully virtual. Over 1,100 courses will be offered with 90% placed into the virtual environment. But that still leaves out the other 10%, consisting of practical classes, labs, and internships. Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Maria Oriaki, explained some of the institution's plans for those practical classes.
Those will be contingent upon the government and health officials' directives as to whether we're going to be able to access the clinical areas of the hospital and internships, whether the industry, whether hotel partners will be opened up. Kitchen classes, for instance, we're looking at incorporating a theoretical component in a virtual environment, and as soon as we open up, having strict social and physical distancing protocols and practical classes. Once again, when we can have those come together in a face-to-face environment, we're going to do so as safely as possible.
And Oriaki says they have added new and updated courses for students at UB North.
We're going to have the Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Studies, and this academic year we're going to be starting the pre-pharmacy program. In addition to that, we have new offerings in the MBA program, those in accounting, events management, and hospitality management. Additionally, we are working on the higher degree by research at both the master's and doctoral level. Then the master's in education are all being developed and is expected to be online this year.
Vice President of Administrative Services, Dr. Marcella Elliott Ferguson, says the institution has digitally integrated many of its offerings, including this aspect.
The Student Activities Department is working to ensure that the engagement is still there. So, we may not be accustomed to virtual parties, but virtual parties is something that's on the activity for the new student orientation. So essentially, the university is insisting that every service that we've had to offer before, we are making a provision for it to be offered this time and more, because we know that we've got to make the adjustments. So the services are still going to be available in a different format, of course.
Crystal Darling, ZNS Network News.
Meantime, the closure of retail stores and small businesses everywhere remains a growing concern for many owners during yet another lockdown. However, for some entrepreneurs, this is the time to thrive elsewhere. Here's Anthony Smith.
For many local businesses, lockdown has come at a loss.
When government regulation changes, you want to be able to adapt to whatever the change is.
A change which has forced many to try and get innovative, as week-long closures result in a continuing loss of revenue. It's another go-around at such strict COVID-19 measures, and this time, many businesses find themselves moving online.
The first lockdown, people was fighting and trying to find instant solutions quickly. This lockdown, all the businesses rolled up with it. Like they already have the stuff in place, and it just gone straight to online delivery, online payment, because they did the preparation. Some businesses are now realizing, I think I should invest in it right now.
Local entity Marketing Bahamas has been monitoring the growth in demand for online retailers since the pandemic start. Since March, the company has managed to bring beauty stores, shipping companies, and many other bigger Bahamian businesses fully online. However, Creative Director Randia Coakley says the suffering of smaller Bahamian businesses has not gone unnoticed.
So, for example, what I was saying, like hairdressers, their main thing is appointments, being able to get deposits, helping clients be able to make their appointments online. So we created smaller packages just for that. And then you can go into restaurants, like a lot of mom and pop restaurants. So I think it's beautiful is you've seen a lot of persons that worked in hotels, they start creating these pop-up restaurants and so forth because they need the revenue. However, to streamline and make it easier, you're able to do where you have your menu online and people are able to see that menu and order it directly.
And with the majority of consumers now confined to their homes, the creative director says a unique opportunity for retailers to modernize themselves arises as a new normal for marketing, conducting business, and reaching customers may just be online.
In the last few months since COVID, during lockdown, the engagement rate of behemoths on online platforms, social media is up to 80%. So it's engaging that core audience that's now they're waiting and trying to be entertained and doing stuff and converting that into customers.
Anthony Smith, ZNS Network News.
Well, a steady stream of motorists here at the intersection of East Street and Wolf Road on the other side of the break, taking a look at overnight traffic as well as tips to motorists regarding long-term parking.
Okay, not a problem. Listen, you can need these masks. Since you have to go, you got to put them on one every hour. And listen to me, you're going to need some gloves and blow that up, okay? Put these on, and then you know something? You know what? They gonna go up your nose. Be parking now, so in 72 hours, else the Q-tip going up your nose, or you're going in quarantine. You understand? Since you have to go, but be safe. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna stay home and try my best to be safe and hand sanitize. Since you have to go, yeah.
This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health and this television station.
The city, like other parts of the country, in lockdown, so your traffic commute may be a bit easier today. Let's send it out to Lloyd Allen and the morning traffic team.
The traffic report is sponsored by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
Well, good morning again, LaDon. Good morning, Bahamas. On this Thursday morning, we're giving you your first look at traffic. This one coming in near the intersection of East Street and Wolf Road. This morning, I'm joined by Sergeant Crestania Johnson from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division, who's giving you, on a slow Thursday, your look at overnight traffic.
A pleasant good morning to you and a pleasant good morning, Bahamas. Well, over the 24-hour period, we have had 13 traffic accidents involving damages, 2 traffic accidents involving injury, and at this time, there are still 9 persons hospitalized as a result of being involved in a traffic accident.
Again, Sergeant Johnson, on a Thursday morning like today, for the general public, many persons are under an extended lockdown, and we expect that their vehicles would not be moving for at least a 24-hour period. What advice do you offer to persons in urban areas like this where parking is limited? How should they adjust their vehicles, especially when emergency vehicles like ambulances and others may need to traverse those streets?
What comes to mind straight off the top of my head is the fact that a lot of double parking that happens within this area. And we saw earlier that affected some emergency vehicles from traveling throughout that particular intersection. Whenever you park your vehicle, you should provide for fluid flow of emergency vehicles, especially during a time like this. We know that during this period, essential workers are required to be on the street. So as a result of that, we're asking as much as possible. If you have to park your vehicle, number one, do not block a fire hydrant or a sidewalk at no cost. Do not do that. If you have to park within a particular area, you're going to park in that area, make sure you're not obstructing anyone, that's pedestrian traffic or emergency vehicles. So when you park, look out for fire hydrants, look out for sidewalks. As much as possible, avoid double parking. If you're on one side of the street and another vehicle is on the opposite side of that street, as much as possible, avoid parking adjacent to that vehicle.
And finally, this morning, we know that, of course, many persons may still have to traverse the streets for emergency purposes. Again, remind us of those emergency contacts that they need to reach out for.
Well, right at the back of my mind goes to the 311 hotline, and later on we're going to see
footage, some footage concerning the 311 hotlines and what it exactly that they require of everybody who needs to traverse the streets. So just hang on and look forward to that excerpt with Mr. Fisher, and he's going to explain some things to you. So just reminding you, as much as possible, if you need to traverse the street, only on a need-to basis, you contact the 311 hotline.
Reporting here on this beautiful Thursday on a complete lockdown for the morning edition, Lloyd Allen, ZNS Network News.
Thanks a lot, Lloyd. As you heard, today is a complete lockdown, and persons who need not be on the streets should not. But for those that have to, Charles Fisher spoke with the chief of the COVID hotline on procedures that must be in place before you venture on the road.
This area is one of the most vital and busiest during this trying times we are in. Chief Superintendent Maxine Leary-Roll is the officer in charge of the COVID hotline area of the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
This was established in March of this year after the World Health Organization announced that the COVID-19 was a pandemic worldwide. And in that vein, the COVID Command Center was established in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Now, this is for members of the public, essential workers, and the like, for them to call the 311 line to ask permission or seek permission to be on the road during the curfew hours or during the lockdown hours. Okay, you're free to go.
During the lockdown hours, this area is inundated with calls. Be patient.
We want the public to be aware that we have a full complement of officers in that area, and your call will be answered professionally, and we deal with every member of the public professionally and concisely and courteously. We don't leave. Sometimes there would be a problem trying to get through because, like I said, we are inundated with calls from members of the public wanting to go on the road to traverse the streets or whatever else have you. Now, some of these calls are not, doesn't warrant them having to go, so sometimes you would have to deny them going on the streets.
They are working with a full complement of staff.
3 shifts, so the officers are motivated, they are working. Sometimes it gets tedious for them, but they are okay. They're doing well. Yes, safety is paramount for our officers. If you notice, all of our officers, they have sanitizers, they have the masks, they have gloves. Safety is paramount, even in our command center.
The public can make the center job easier or smoother if they just follow simple rules or instructions.
I think some of us, we just need to read up on the orders that come from the Prime Minister. They can go online to the Prime Minister's office page, and they can see all this information there. Social media. Right now, all Bahamians, we are creatures of social media. Everything is on social media. So they can go on the web page and they can read up.
Now, the management of the emergency order is not only isolated to the inside.
Well, if you notice, we have our checkpoints out there, and if persons are on the road and the officers on the checkpoints or the static points stop them, and they did not get permission from our command center to be on the road for whatever reason, if they're not an essential worker or would have gotten permission from us, they can be arrested because those officers out there on the streets, they would call into command center to see if Charles Fisher was given permission to be on the streets.
And a word of advice to essential workers?
Not because you're an essential worker means that you can just be out there riding around willy-nilly. You have to be coming from work or going to work. And, you know, because we have some essential workers who think that because they are an essential worker, they can just go out as they please. Because we're trying to put a curve in this pandemic here in the Bahamas, and we just don't want persons on the street because of where they work feels as if they have the pleasure, being an essential worker, to go wherever they choose to go. Because right now, sometimes our streets are crowded. And like I said, we're trying to curb this pandemic here in the Bahamas. So we would advise against persons because they're essential just to go on the streets if they're not going to or from work.
Once again, if you have to be out, the number to call is 311 and it will be answered. For the morning edition, I'm Charles Fisher.
Thanks a lot, Fisher. Keeping your pets cool is a definite must, particularly with temperatures reaching the triple digits due to the heat. Officials from the Bahamas Humane Society have invested in pools to keep pets cool and are suggesting you to do the same. But the main thing, according to Shelter Manager Inspector Percy Grant, is this.
Water, 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 water. They just got to make sure that the animals stay cool, that they do not leave waters in the hot sun, and make sure, see if they can figure out how the sun sets around. But in any event, make sure that it's in a cool spot and there's ample supply of water, not a plastic container, bottle cut open. Use a proper bucket, 5-gallon bucket cut in half, or use some sort of stainless steel bowl, but it has to be something proper because many dogs die in the summer of a heat stroke.
With the COVID-19 shutdown affecting many in the tourism sector, including the Surrey drivers, Grant says they have taken on the added role of caring for the horses.
As you know, the Surreys are, of course, not working because there's no tourists in town, and the folk are not making any money, so therefore the Humane Society have taken it upon ourselves and raise funds, and we try to feed the horses. And so we have to buy hay and feed for the horses every week. I think there's about 20 odd horses, and so we have to deal with that. So it's quite a financial burden for us. So whatever people can donate, food, whatever monies to purchase hay, or even purchase hay or go down to the feed store and pay for hay, whatever they can do, because we are in a real serious world pandemic, and we're trying to assist as much as we can.
Now let's get the heat on with your workout session with Downtown Natasha Brown.
Come on down, Natasha Brown has got you with the ultimate fitness.
Hi, thank you for joining Downtown today. Guess what? Don't allow anyone or anything to affect the outcome of your day or the quality of your life. I've got an awesome staircase routine for you. Wherever you are, if you got stairs, let's get right into this routine. You're welcome to do anywhere between 3 to 4 sets and 15 to 25 reps, depending on the exercises and the level of your fitness. Let's get right to it. Downtown Natasha Brown, getting you closer to becoming your ultimate you.
Here's a weather forecast this morning. An upper-level disturbance along with an approaching tropical wave will generate pockets of unsettled weather over the Bahamas. Meanwhile, a ridge of high pressure anchored north of the area will generate moderate to fresh breezes across the island chain through tonight. Weather partly sunny, hot and humid with passing showers and a few isolated thunderstorms today, becoming mostly fair and warm with isolated showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms mainly in the central Bahamas tonight. And we want to thank you for continuing to make ZNS your #1 news and information network. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. And that's a wrap for us this Thursday morning. For the entire team, I'm LaDon Davis. Make it a great day and be safe.
All I want is that sweet juicy crab in my mouth. I want me some crab sauce. I can buy the crab house. I want me some crab sauce. I can buy the crab house. I want me some crab sauce. I can buy the crab house. All I want is that sweet juicy